Nodribek Abdusattorov is unstoppable in London Chess Classic 2025. In Game 7, Abdusattorov destroying Lukmekchen. The game starts with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, then bishop b5. This is the Ruy Lopez opening. Lukmekchen defend with Berlin defense, knight f6, d3, bishop c5, c3, then both players castling kingside to secure the king. After that, d6. Black light square bishop is ready to pin the knight. In this position, Abdusattorov put his bishop first to pin Black's knight. Black replies with knight e7, let white take the knight, but Abdusattorov opts to play d4, attacking the bishop. After the bishop retreat to b6, the bishop takes the knight, pawn takes the knight, and after that, Black's pawn structure is destroyed. In this position, Nodribek Abdusattorov developed his knight to d2. After that, king h8, preparing to put the rook on g8. Abdusattorov replaced with rook e1, then rook g8, therefore g3, then queen to f8. Here, Abdusattorov opts to play pawn a4. After that, Lukmekchen attacked the bishop, so the bishop retreat to d3, and Lukmekchen pinned the knight. Abdusattorov replay with knight c4 to attack the bishop, but the bishop ran to a7. After that, knight to e3 to attack Black bishop, so Black retreat to h5. Now, Abdusattorov retreat the bishop to protect the knight and the queen to protect the pawn at the same time. In this position, Lukmekchen put the bishop to g6 to attack the pawn, therefore queen c2 to protect it. After that, Mekchen put his queen to c8. Abdusattorov replies with bishop d3 and then bishop back to h5 to attack the knight, but Abdusattorov put his knight to h4. In this position, once again, Lukmekchen retreat the bishop to g6, and after that, bishop c4, preparing to eliminate the bishop and to take f-pawn. Therefore, Lukmekchen put the rook to g7 to protect the pawn. The game continued. Rook d1, queen h3, knight take bishop, and h-pawn takes knight. After that, queen b3. Two Black's pawn are attacked. Lukmekchen replies with rook h7 to attack the pawn, but knight f1 to protect it. After that, Mekchen put the bishop to b6. b7 pawn is safe, but f-pawn is not. Therefore, Abdusattorov take it, and he win one pawn. Lukmekchen attack the bishop, but the bishop counter-attack the queen. After the queen ran to h5, Abdusattorov puts the rook to d3, preparing to exchange the queen. Lukmekchen pushes a5, but queen d1. In this position, Mekchen developed his knight to c6 and let the queen trade. Rook take queen. After that, bishop attacks the knight. In this position, Lukmekchen opts to trade pawn on the center, and Abdusattorov exchange the bishop for the knight. After pawn take bishop, pawn take pawn. Now, Abdusattorov win one pawn. He has two pawns in the center, and Black's pawn is not in a good structure. Lukmekchen pushes c5 to destroy white pawn structure. Abdusattorov developed his knight. After pawn take pawn to attack the knight, so the knight to d5, attacking the bishop. But bishop c5. Abdusattorov takes c pawn and rook e5 to attack the pawn. Abdusattorov reply with king f1 and rook attack knight, but the knight retreat to b5 and attacking black's pawn at the same time. In this position, Luke McShane only have 50 seconds left, so he tried to attack the pawn. But Nodirbek Abdusattorov denied to protect the pawn. He opts to play knight takes pawn, prepare to fork. So rook take pawn to attack rook, but rook d1. Now McShane activate the king to g7. After that, b3, rook e5, and then pawn h4, g5. Nodirbek Abdusattorov exchange the pawn, and Luke McShane take the pawn with his rooks. In this position, Abdusattorov put the knight to b5 to attack the pawn. In this position, Luke McShane trying to make a trap. He put his rook to f5. If white knights take the pawn, then rook take on f2. After king run, rook e to e2. This is a very dangerous position. Black is totally winning position. Therefore, Nodirbek Abdusattorov did not take it. He put his rook to d2 to defend on f2. Then Luke McShane put his rook to b4. After that, king g2, king g6, then knight to a3, rook b8, knight c4. After that, bishop b4, attacking the rook and defending his pawn at the same time. Abdusattorov put his rook to a safe square d1. After that, bishop c5 and then f4. Abdusattorov wants to exchange the rook. Luke McShane put his bishop back to b4, but rook d5. Now McShane take the rook. Rook take on d5. After that, f5. Luke McShane denied to give up. In this position, Nodirbek Abdusattorov put his king to f3. After king f6, rook b5 to attack black's rook. But rook a7. Abdusattorov attacked the rook. And after this move, Luke McShane resigned. If the game continue with rook a7, then knight d5. The king run. After that, knight take bishop, pawn takes knight, and rook takes pawn. White win 2 pawns.